You're listening to Clearview Today with Dr. Abadan Shah, the daily show that engages mind and heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm Ryan Hill.
I'm John Galantis.
You can find more information about our show by visiting clearviewtodayshow.com. Or if you have any questions for Dr. Shah or suggestions for new topics, write in and let us know at 252-582-5028. Or you can send us an email to contact@clearviewtodayshow.com.
That's right. We want you guys to help us keep the conversation going by supporting the show. You can share it online with your friends and your family. Leave us a good 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasting content from. Absolutely nothing less than 5 stars. For any reason, I can't stress that enough. I can't think of a reason why you'd leave even 4.
Yeah, it's just hateful.
How is it? Yeah, how is this not the perfect
It's just,
show?
I feel targeted if you leave one less than 4. 4 is fine. 5 is the best. 3 is right out.
3 is 100% unacceptable. But I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to leave some links in the description so you can do just that. Today is Friday. It's finally Friday. I'm free again.
The first Friday of May.
Time got my motor running for a wild weekend. It's May the 3rd, which means our date, the word, is coming to you from Psalms 5:3. It says, "My voice you shall hear in the morning, O Lord. In the morning I will direct it to you, and I will look up."
Notice that it says in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can do your devotions at any time. We're not going to say that morning devotions are the only legitimate devotions. Obviously,
but they're clearly the most holy.
You're closest to God in the AM. No, I'm just kidding. But there is something to be said about waking up and starting your day with that intentional time with God. It really does help you focus on God throughout the rest of the day. Mm-hmm. Can you do it at any point in the day? Yes, you can. Are there special benefits to having it in the morning? Yes, there are, as listed right here in Psalms. "My voice you shall hear in the morning, O Lord, and in the morning I will direct it to you, and I will look up."
Yeah.
That looking up sets you up for success for the rest of the day.
That's right. It's a promise you're making to God. You know, you're dedicating yourself. It's a part of being disciplined. You know, I can tell you right now, I do not like getting up in the morning. I don't like going to the gym. I don't like getting up and cleaning up the house, getting the kids ready. I don't like none of that stuff. But you still do it because you're devoting yourself to God.
Right.
It's not just your devotions too. Although your devotions are incredibly, incredibly critical to your Christian life. Everything that you do, the first thing you do in the morning really does say a lot about who you are as a person, your character, your discipline, your habits. So when I'm like getting up in the morning, the first thing I do is like rolling over in bed and like scrolling through Facebook and looking through Instagram or whatever.
Which is true for many of us.
Yeah, it's true for me too. It makes me re-examine where my priorities are. You know, I'll get to God's word. I'll get to my kids. I'll get to all my responsibilities. I'll get to them. First, I gotta check this stuff out.
Right.
So verses like this really are a good wake-up call.
And a great way to do that is by downloading the Date the Word app. That's where all of these verses of the day, our Date the Words, are coming from. You can get it absolutely free for Android and iPhone. Every single day connects today's date with God's Word with the hope of making it more memorable for you.
I had someone write in for this very special episode. This was a really good one. $1 million, Ryan. This one's really gonna. This one really wouldn't affect me as much, but this one's going to take you for a spin.
Thank you very much, $1 million.
Yes, you're going to get $1 million. But...
No, I'll just take it without the condition. Thank you very much. RYANHILL. Go ahead and send a text if you need that bank routing number.
Right, yeah. I don't have the funds at the moment. I will get this money, but I'm going to have to get it from someone else. But here's the caveat is that you get $1 million, but all your kids randomly switch ages. So Noah is now 5. How old is Asher? 5?
5.
Yeah, Noah's 5 now. Hartley is 7. Joanna's 11. The twins are 11, right?
They're 11.
Yeah, Joanna's 11. They all just randomly switch ages.
So the twins even aren't twins anymore?
They're twins, but they're...
Yeah, that's a good point. Do they switch together? Do the twins switch together, or is it one would be 5, one would be 9?
Well, nobody else is the same age, so they can't switch together. Who would they switch with? Who would...
True. Okay, all right. So you're just saying the 5 like a diagram, and everything is just moved.
Yes,
amongst
they are randomly
reassigned
reassigned an age based on one of their siblings at random.
I see what you're saying.
So Asher could be 11.
For how long do they switch?
This is for life.
Is it one switch?
One switch. But they all switch. It's like Freaky Friday, but with their age.
I would take that. Yeah, I'd take that.
So Asher, who's in what, kindergarten?
He's in K4. He'll be in kindergarten next year.
Okay, Asher's not even in kindergarten. Now he's in middle school.
Yeah, I would take that.
Bro, he is a 4th grade. He cannot go to middle school.
I would take that.
A 4th grade. I mean, he's got a 4-year-old understanding of the world. He can't go to middle school.
Well, he doesn't just the understanding doesn't catch up?
No, he's still Asher.
Oh.
He's just 11 now.
Oh, in that case, no. I thought like he is just an 11-year-old with all the 11-year-old capabilities and learning. No, but he's like a 4-year-old in an 11-year-old's body.
Yes, he's still Asher.
No, I wouldn't take that.
Wouldn't take it?
No, I wouldn't take that. Not at that point, no. If it was just like he's now Asher, but what Asher would be as an 11-year-old, then I would say, yeah, I can take that. Sure, we'll skip some years, but then we get to do like Noah's childhood over again.
I
would take that, but if it's just like 4-year-old mind, 11-year-old body, no, I wouldn't take that.
Okay, so but he can still progress naturally. Like he can still.
Yeah, but that's a lot of catch up. I mean, he's got to learn how to read, write, math, all over again.
The alternative is you keep him in K4. But he's
at 11.
Yeah, he's just bigger. He's just on a bigger body.
No, I would not do that. No. At that point, no.
I don't know that I would do it either. I've got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. I don't know how much it would really set them back, but I don't know that I would do it. Would you do it if you had kids? Would David?
No.
You wouldn't do that?
No, I'm just thinking like, imagine Gavin, who is like making sentences.
He's 3.
He's 3. Going into Holden's body. So then we have this little bitty one who
they're not switching
can't.
bodies. They're not switching bodies. They're just switching ages.
Well, still, what I'm saying, I guess
He's
that's
just
what
a
I'm
baby
saying.
again.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but he still has his 3-year-old understanding. And then Holden,
Yeah, he just can't talk.
who screams at everything, is now the 3-year-old.
He's now 3.
Yeah, true.
Nah.
True. I imagine this question was aimed at Dr. Shah, but all his kids are grown.
Right.
So like his youngest, how old is your brother? How old is Thomas?
He's 17.
So, yeah, 17, and the oldest is like 28, 29.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's still kind of bad, but it's not crippling.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
I'll ask him.
I wouldn't take that.
I don't know that I would take it either.
Let
But
us
$1
know if
million
you-
is a lot of money.
That is a lot of money, but I wouldn't take it for that. Write in and let us know if you would take that for your kids. 252-582-5028, or you can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com. We'll be back after this.
Hey, what's going on, listeners? My name is John.
And I'm Ellie.
And we just want to take a second and let you know about Dr. Shah's new book on the market right now called Can We Recover the Original Text of the New Testament? Boy, that is a long title.
True, but it's a very simple message. The original text of the New Testament is not only attainable, but there are lots of different ways that scholars go about discovering it.
There's a lot of people out there saying that the original text is lost forever, or that it's hopeless to actually try to find it, or that there's many texts of the New Testament. But alongside Dr. David Allen Black, Dr. Shah has actually compiled papers from some of the world's leading experts in textual criticism, including one written by himself on various methodologies for extracting the original text. And listen, if you're interested in textual criticism, this book is a great introduction to the field.
You can pick up your copy on Amazon, or you can buy it from our church website. That's clearviewbc.org. We're going to leave a link in the description box so you can get your copy today.
Love that. Ellie, let's hop back in.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to Clearview Today with Dr. Abadan Shah, the daily show that engages mind and heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ. You can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com, or if you have any questions or suggestions for new topics, send us a text to 252-582-5028.
That's right, and we are here once again in the Clearview Today studio with Dr. Abadan Shah, alongside perma-guest Nicole Shah. Very good to see you guys. Very good to see y'all.
Welcome back
Just so
again,
you guys
Nicole.
know who's talking to you, Dr. Shah is a PhD in New Testament textual criticism, professor at Carolina University, author, full-time parent, and the host of today's show. You can follow full-time parent.
You did say full-time parent.
Full-time pastor.
Although full-time parent as well. That's not inaccurate.
That is what we're talking about today. But you can find all his parenting tips and tricks, along with textual critical works, at his website. That's abadanshah.com. Y'all, speaking of parenting, I'm going to say $1 million each. $2 million for the house.
Okay.
All right, $2 million for the house.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
And you can distribute that however you like. Like
Okay.
if you want
it's
to give
all
that to the
mine.
kids, if you it's
Nicole said distribute, huh?
yeah, that's fine.
Never
That's
heard of her.
fine. I'm going to give you a lump sum of $2 million. You can distribute it to the kids. You can distribute it to whoever you want to, but your kids randomly switch ages. So, like, how old is Thomas?
17.
Rebecca is now 17. Nicholas is now Rebecca's age. Thomas is now Abigail. They just randomly switch ages.
So what happens though?
It's up to them. It's up to them. Rebecca can't rent a car.
No.
Let's see.
What happens
So does she
to her
come back
marriage?
to the house?
What happens to her marriage?
I mean, that's up to her. I mean, Ed's gonna have some explaining to do.
So Ed ends up with Nicholas.
They don't switch. They don't switch lives. They just switch
ages. Yeah, they just switch ages.
Like
Oh.
Freaky Friday, you wake up, but you
Yeah.
are
But you're
a different.
But she's
Of course,
17
not with someone
years
else's
old.
body. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, this is they just switch ages. They just switch ages. And
I
it
mean,
doesn't
I wouldn't
affect you
mind
guys
it.
at all.
I think it'll be great.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun.
hey, if I get $2 million and they're the ones that have to switch ages, I'll take it.
Nicholas is now off the insurance legally because he's
Okay.
20. How old is Rebecca? 28, 29?
She'll be 29 this year.
Yeah, he's off the insurance.
So Nicole makes these books on what is it? Shutterfly.
I do different ones. I do Shutterfly, Snapfish, Peekaboo.
Yeah, she
all
used to
of these.
do scrapbooks back in the day. And now she's been doing this like for the past 15 years, maybe 20 years.
Well, I was doing the actual like scrapbooks until Nicholas was born.
Yeah,
And
so
then there was too many kids.
2003.
Right.
And since then, for the past 20 years now, she's been doing these. And she will, time to time, change the ones that are on our coffee table and the end table.
Once
Right.
a month.
So they're like
They
three.
Yeah.
One on this table,
You got
one
an
on
April
this table.
edition. You got a May edition.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course.
And so I will pick it up, and like last night or yesterday afternoon, I looked at 2013, 2014,
Oh, cute.
and it was pretty awesome to see our Christmas pictures and seeing the kids just running around, acting crazy, excited. So to see them, I'd be okay with that.
That'd be fun.
I don't even need $2 million for that.
It's like
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
what I'm saying.
sneak peek of the future, and also you get to kind of revisit the past a little
It's
bit.
zero risk for you.
Oh, yeah.
It
Oh,
just
yeah.
they're the ones that have to.
And
have
I'm just
to
$2
deal with
million richer.
It. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. And last week, that's what I'm saying. You can, if you want to be like, hey guys, we're sorry we did this. Here's $100,000. Just be 17. No.
No.
Low risk, high reward.
Yeah.
Well, as your kids grow and as they change, sometimes that's a little bit painful to get through. Sometimes that's a little bit difficult to navigate. And as we talked on yesterday's episode,
Right.
Navigating those growing up years can be challenging, especially when our kids face struggles, when our kids face trials. But that's what we're here to talk about today. Nicole's joining us again on the episode today. So, Dr. Shah, what is today's daily encouragement for our listeners and for our viewers?
I would say good boundaries make great neighbors.
True.
That's a
Very true.
write that down.
But actually, you can
before
credit
that
the
gets
Amish for that.
I was going to cite Better Homes and Gardens.
little letters Amish, large letters Dr. Abadan Shah.
Yeah, there you go.
We saw that when we were in the Amish country about maybe 10, 15 years ago. And I saw that and I was like, I like that. Good boundaries make great neighbors because it has so many applications. When you have good boundaries, you know where your limits are. When you have good boundaries, the world also knows this is your limit. And these are our convictions. These are our values. So when people try to live their lives without boundaries or they raise their children without boundaries, it's naive, it's foolish, and it has dire consequences.
True.
So boundaries are a must. And boundaries are not erected to hurt our children. They are to protect them.
That's right.
There's a big difference.
Yeah.
I like how we talked about yesterday those 4 types of parents that you can become if you're too extreme on any of the boundaries.
Yes, you can. If you have the walls of protection and grace are too high, we become helicopter parents.
Right.
Those that swoop in and try to protect them from everything. If your walls of exploration and grace are too high, then you become your kid's best friend.
Oh,
they don't
Regina
need
George style.
They don't need a best friend. They need a parent.
Right.
If your walls of protection and truth are too high, then you become a religious parent or
Kinda
a
legalistic.
parent
Right.
is what that really means. And then if your walls of exploration and truth are too high, you become what we term as the boss parent.
Wow.
Yeah, just go out there and learn your lesson. I had to learn the hard way, and you have to do the same thing.
Made your
It's
bed, you
tough.
lie in it.
Yeah, but and that there is some merit to all of this, but if you carry it to the extreme, it leads to a lot of frustration, resentment, inability to proceed in life because you need guidance.
Right.
And here you have somebody saying like, "You did it, bud."
Yeah.
And I've heard parents talk like that to their kids.
Yep.
You did it. This is your call. You caused. Okay, I had to do that too. And then they give their litany of of all the things they went through and how they survived. And that's fine. To a certain extent, that's a
Right.
good thing. But when that is your sole model of parenting, that is not what a child or a teenager or an adolescent or even an emerging adult needs.
Yeah.
You know, you really do need. They need to understand what consequences are to their decisions.
Right.
But you know, there comes a point where you, as a parent, you can still buffer it a little bit, but still they learn that there are consequences
Right.
to decisions, because that's what happens when you become an adult. Then all of a sudden you are responsible for all of your decisions.
Yeah, and like you guys reminded us yesterday, these 4 parenting styles are not, they're not determinative. You
Right.
don't have to end up as one of these 4, but these 4 are the extremes of those 4 boundaries that are erected: the exploration, protection, grace, and truth. If you go too far and you stay too far, you're going to be a helicopter, you're going to be a boss, you're going to be legalistic. But the goal is always to go back to the middle.
Yeah, we had at least a couple of people text into the show after. So this morning, yesterday's episode aired, and we had a couple of people text in this morning, like as we were getting ready, like, I really wish I had this when my kids were little.
Yeah.
My kids are teenagers now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's too little, too late. And they didn't really ask us to cover this, but I guess the question is it? Is it too little, too late now that they've got teenagers?
I don't believe so. Now, it will be hard for them as teenagers to have new rules or new parents, so to speak. But if you explain it to them, if they're old enough to understand that there are changes that need to happen and changes in how you're going to approach different things. It might be a little hard, but I believe it will be worth it.
Right.
And even if you don't have teenagers, don't have any kids, learn these lessons and it'll help you make sense of life. One of the hardest things that people struggle with regards to parenting is going through life and feeling like, I did all this for them and look how they are. Look where they turned out, how they turned out. Look what they're doing. Learning these things will help you flesh out those mistakes and or the idea of parenting and understand, okay, so here's where I did not know better and I did this. Here's where I think I did it right. I just need to wait on God's timing for the seed to grow and bear fruit. So I need to wait on that. Patience is the key. So these lessons, if your kids are grown as teenagers, we're going to have some discussion on that today. You can benefit from that. But if they're grown out of the house or they are young adults, doesn't mean that this is a waste of time. No, this will help you make sense of the past, because that's what many people struggle with, making sense of their past life.
True.
Right.
Very true.
As parents.
And there's always a wonderful way to approach your grown kids when you learn these new principles, is to take them out to eat, sit down for coffee, and talk to them about what you've learned and say, listen, I messed up.
Yeah.
I didn't do it the right way. And I didn't know better, or I just didn't know these principles until now.
Or even say, we did it right. Sometimes you have to say,
we did the best we could.
Yeah.
with
This
what we
is
had.
this is the right thing to do, and you may not agree with that, but until you walk in the same mark in the journey, place in the journey, you will not appreciate it.
Right.
So just wait it out.
The older I have gotten, the more my parents know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And they always knew what they were talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
But the more I clock that as I get older and my kids get older, I'm like, mom and dad knew more than I gave them
Yeah.
credit for.
I used to. I looked at
They were
my-
sharper.
I looked at my mom after our oldest was born, and she probably wasn't even a year old, maybe.
Yeah.
And I looked at her and I was like, "How is it that the older I get, the smarter you get?"
Yeah.
I think that's one of the most ironic things about being a teenager is you are so desperate to be misunderstood, and you're so like, that's like your mantra is like, you don't get
Oh
it. You don't
man, that's
understand
money.
me.
Like the
Yeah.
misunderstood teenager. Absolutely.
But then you have to kind of like it is like you said. I've even felt it too now that I'm in my 30s, and like looking back on those times, it's like the world makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
If only I'd known back then.
Oh, yeah.
Like how much sense it all made.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
what's presented to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just one of those, maybe that's one of those ironic things of life is
Yeah.
that you don't understand until you're older.
Well, and all of that plays into, we're supposed to have this break from our parents
Yeah.
as we get older. There's supposed to be this separation that happens. So that feeling like your parents just don't understand. You guys don't understand what it's like to grow up. Well, there's an element of that will help you separate from your
Yeah.
parents and stand on your own as an adult. But just remember to look back at your parents
Yeah.
and give them some grace and understand that, number one, they knew more than you thought they did. And number two, they were doing the best they could with what they had.
That's right. Now, teenage years are a little different.
Yes.
We're kind of we have been focusing on the young kids age, stage, and these boundaries, but teenage years,
Yes.
what do you think?
Teenage years are usually the gauntlet for parents. It's when like your precious sweet little angel child that like drew you pictures and made you macaroni art comes home and starts calling you bruh and like hangs out in their room and they just kind of emerge to grab food and just retreat back into the darkness.
But here's the
of their
thing:
room.
if you're a Christian parent, good news. You can just drop them off at the church, and the youth pastor will deal with
Right,
it.
yeah, just let the youth group
It's a-
handle all of it.
and not only deal with yours, he'll deal with like 50, 60 others as well. So they'll be fine, dude.
So
They'll be
you
fine.
get, you get those
You
responses.
just play with them, right? That's all you do.
Yeah, just dodgeball
Youth
and pizza.
pastors don't do anything. They just play with your kids.
That's
yeah,
it.
they hang out, they look at TV, they play
Yeah.
guitar,
That's
and
it.
I mean,
Talk about
have
memes.
parents really thought about what the youth pastor or youth leader, whatever you call them, do? I mean, it's a tremendous responsibility. You have trouble with one or
Yeah.
two.
Yeah,
They
They got-
have 12.
yeah,
Like here, we have 80,
yeah,
90
yeah.
at Clearview, or maybe more now.
Yeah. We had at our New Year's lock-in, I'll never forget this. We had about 70, 75, which is normal for us at a New Year's lock-in.
Right.
But one of the parents was dropping their kid off for this is their first New Year's lock-in.
Right.
So they come to pick their kid up at 8 o'clock in the morning. We've been up all night playing games, hanging out, having a good time. And the parent was like, hey, did you have fun? How many did you guys have? And we were like, we had about, 72, 73. And they were like, are you serious?
Yep.
And you did this on purpose? Yeah, of course we did it on purpose.
For context, how many students were in the student ministry when you came in 91?
Oh, when I 98.
6.
Oh, 98. Okay,
98.
okay.
When I came, 98 when I came, there were, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 to 7.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Where did you come in? Oh, you came to America in 91.
I came to America in 91
In 98, you came as the pastor. That's
Yeah.
right.
I know,
got my
as a
years
youth
mixed up.
pastor.
As the youth pastor.
Yeah.
of this very
Right.
church.
Right. 6 to 7
I'm
kids.
one of your predecessors.
That's right. Honestly, when I heard that verse, I was like, "Oh man, like kindred spirits, like fellow youth pastor."
Yeah,
That was
standing on
exciting.
the shoulders of
I know.
That was
giants.
exciting.
Yeah.
That's right. So talking about the teenage years, one of the things that I love the most about teenagers is also one of the most difficult things about teenagers, and that's the strategies and the rules and the approaches that you had as parents when they were kids. Most of the time, don't work anymore because your teens are moving from that childlike concrete thinking to more abstract reasoning.
Right.
So they're less content with because I'm your parent and I said so. Now there may still be a place for that at times, but you need to give them a why. You need to tell them why this is the rule. You need to tell them why these things are in place. You need to tell them why this is the expectation of them, and this is all done in the context of showing your students love, that
Right.
you care
That's
about
right.
them, that you are compassionate toward them, because one of the most common things I've heard teenagers talk about over the last almost decade that I've been here is that they are struggling with feeling overwhelmed. Pretty much across the board, no matter if they're homeschooled, no matter if they're in public, private school, middle school, high school, boys, girls, pretty much all of them without fail say, man, I just feel overwhelmed.
And I fell into the boomer trap of being like, why are these teenagers tired all the time? Like, you guys have no reason to be so exhausted. You guys don't do anything. And then you start to look at what like teenagers in 2024 do as opposed to what I did in like 2008, 2009. And you start to see, like, I don't even make those jokes anymore because you start to see, like, I would have had a breakdown if I was doing all the sports and all the, different things that kids do. And it's not just in this church. It's just everywhere.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff.
Even smartphones. I mean, it is very common that teenagers will have a smartphone in their hand through the teenage years. Some earlier than that, but usually in the teenage years they get that smartphone. John, when you and I were growing up, smartphones were coming on the scene, but they weren't quite as prevalent yet.
One person when I was in senior year, it was actually a good friend of mine, had an iPhone. That was it. Everybody had a flip phone.
When did iPhone come out?
It was an iPhone 3G.
It was 2007, wasn't it? That iPhone really
I can tell you pretty quickly.
Something like that. You're right.
because that was the year I graduated high school.
Yeah.
So smartphones weren't.
You graduated high school in 2007?
I did.
Wow.
I did.
When did you graduate high school?
2010.
Does that make you feel old?
2007.
It's not old. It's just that I was a principal already by this
Yeah,
time.
you could have been my principal.
I could have been your
2010
principal.
is when I graduated. One person had an iPhone. Everybody else, they had little flip phones that we had to text with T9. We had to put
T9.
We had to put we had hoodies, and we had to just like feel out the numbers in our pocket so that we could text.
Our
We could text
millennial
with that
listeners
level.
are like,
Gracious.
oh man,
Yeah,
yes.
T9 word. Shout out to T9 word. But yeah, that's
But
true.
you get all the extracurriculars that teenagers are responsible for, plus the events of the entire world dropped in the palm of their hand.
Yeah.
And so, like we were talking about with those crises and traumatic events that they're exposed to, they're being exposed on a secondary level to crises that are happening on the other side of the globe. But it's happening in real time because of smartphones and smart devices. So they're hit with that trauma more than any of us were.
I never see a teenager with downtime.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Yeah.
I just don't ever see it.
It's rare.
When I was in school, I had band and I had church. That was it.
Yeah.
And church was Wednesday, Sunday.
Yeah.
That was all there was.
I think kids have had a lot of activities dumped on them for decades. Okay, so it's not just maybe that was a little bit unique in your time,
Right.
But the constant connectivity through our phones is I would say more detrimental than just doing things. There have been parents like I used to tell sort of something similar to that because they had dance, they had sports, they had drama, they had you name it, scouts, whatever. So there have been those things have been going on for a long time. But the super connectivity means I'm sitting here, so I'm going to sit and now I'm just going to scroll and scroll and scroll. Like now it's been an hour. Nope, I'm going to keep going. It's hour and a half now. It's 2 hours now. 2.5, 3. My brain is constantly working.
Yeah.
And it's working mindlessly. It's not achieving things. It's
Right.
but it's just going. And I don't want parents to just listen to this and just run out and take the phones away from their kids. That's not the goal of this podcast.
That would be the helicopter parent.
That would be the helicopter parent, right? How does that go?
So parenting in the teenage years, sometimes the temptation is just to kind of take your hands off the reins.
Yeah.
But teenage years are really where parents need to kind of buckle down and lead their kids through the teenage years. Because as teens are growing and as they're developing, their brain is changing at an unprecedented rate.
Right.
Their ability to feel emotion grows much faster than their ability to process that emotion. So like you get adult-sized emotions with child-sized reasoning.
Yeah.
So we as parents have to help them navigate and parse out these difficult situations in life. For example, if your teenagers when your teenagers make a poor choice, because they're teenagers. I mean, they make poor choices sometimes. A helicopter parent is going to swoop in and save them from all the consequences. And this may end up in your teens feeling entitled. The religious or legalistic parent is going to swoop in with heavy consequences and punishment. And not that there's not a place for consequences and punishment, but if you err too much on that, your teens may end up retreating or resenting you. The BFF parent, there are no consequences for your actions. Your child just does whatever they want to because you love them and you're their friend.
Yeah, you should have seen me at your age. I was
Exactly.
10 times worse.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Your teens could end up reckless, but they could also end up feeling alone and unsupported because, Nicole, as you said, they don't need a friend, they need a parent. And then the boss parent is the you made your bed, go lie in it, deal with your own consequences. And with this, teens will end up feeling resentful and they can even be less likely to share and open up in the future.
See, one of the things kids struggle with is in teenage years is a breakup. So how do these different parents and boundaries work out then?
So with the breakup, with the dreaded breakup, helping your son or daughter navigate that romantic relationship crumbling. So what we can do as parents, we don't shield them from the emotions. Sometimes we'll just kind of protect or help them move on, get over it quickly. Don't shield them from going through those emotions. That's that protection wall. We might need to lower that, but help them process the ending of that significant romantic relationship, because for your teens, it may even be their first one.
Yeah.
That's lifting up that exploration wall, encouraging them to feel those feelings. Don't absolve them of any poor decisions that they've made to contribute to the relationship ending. That's the grace wall. We might need to lower that one. But show them what they could have done differently to better prepare them for future relationships. That's the truth wall. Yeah. Let it be a teaching moment. Walk with them, walk alongside them, because they're able in the teenage years to understand all of those abstract concepts. And again, this is all done in the context of loving them and guiding them and directing them back to who Jesus is.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it again, the safe house parent that like Nicole has been talking about for the young kids, the same principles apply to the teenagers.
They do.
But in a different sort of way.
Yeah, a little bit differently.
I mean, parenting is still active, but it shifts more towards guiding than
rather than being there all the time.
Right.
You're just almost like a guidance counselor.
Right. I mean, the key is know when to lower the wall of protection.
And I think it's one of those things where you know the situation when you see it. You know what I mean? Like when the situation arises where you know I need to lean a little bit heavier to one side, but then always try to come back to the middle.
Yeah, that is true. The biggest thing with the safe parent, the safe house parent, is always aiming for that middle. You know, you got to have a little bit of all four, I think.
Yeah.
Just a little bit to be able to be like in the middle.
Be balanced.
Yeah. So we've talked about the book Safe House by Josh Straub. Fantastic resource for anybody who has kids or works with kids. But he suggests 3 ways to enter into your teens' struggle and to help them navigate those difficult moments. The first one is, when possible, take time to calm down before you respond to your child. Sometimes in the teenage years, you can get real heated real fast because your teens are coming at you with a lot of emotion. When possible, take a step back, take a breath, because it will help facilitate a conversation rather than just a yelling match.
True. Very true.
That's also the second one. Dialogue and seek to understand your teen's point of view. Talk with them, understand what they're saying, and hear the heart behind their words. Because again, they're feeling adult-sized emotions with child-sized reasoning. And then finally, always communicate your love for your child, even during hardship or punishment.
Wow.
Great point.
And then as we're coming to a close, landing the plane, I want to just briefly talk about the young adult years, because they don't stay little kids, they don't stay teenagers, they eventually grow into adults.
Yeah, and the young adult is that phase between 19 to about 30 years of age.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we can do all of this right. We can be excellent parents through the elementary kid years and the teenage years. And your kids will probably still blame you when they reach young adulthood for the things that are going on in their life.
And I think that's something that parents kind of dread, but they mark as failure. Like even if I do everything right, this is still going to happen.
Right.
So it's almost not worth doing. But I think you've said it best. Like they're going to come back.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what God's word says.
Right.
They'll always return to.
Right. In God's timing, as a farmer, you have to sow the seed, let it be watered, have the sunlight, have the fertilizer. Fertilizer stinks. So, sometimes it'll stink. But in God's timing, it'll happen. And don't let the enemy take away hope, because he will often come and tell you it's hopeless. It's not going to get better. This is as good as it gets.
True.
Reject the enemy. Tell him, get the heck out of here. I'm not listening to you. I'm looking to Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Yes. And one thing I would say is, when your kid does come back as an adult, to say, boy, you really didn't know what you were talking about, or however that conversation comes about, try to not say, I told you so.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
So good.
That's true.
So helpful for us. Thank you, Dr. Shah. Thank you, Nicole, so
And
much.
thank you, Ryan.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He's my favorite student pastor.
I would have to agree. I would have to agree.
Yeah, I wish he was my student pastor.
You're my favorite pastor, but you are actually my pastor. I can't say I wish you were my pastor because you are my pastor. If you guys enjoyed today's episode, if it was helpful for you, and especially if you have students in your life, write in and let us know. 252-582-5028. Or you can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com. Don't forget, you can partner with us financially on that same website. Every gift that you give goes not only to building up this radio show, but countless other ministries for the gospel of Jesus. John, what encouragement you want to leave our listeners with this weekend?
As always, make sure you find a church to worship in this weekend. If you are in the Henderson or in the Triangle area here in North Carolina, you can always come and join us here at Clearview Church. But if not, make sure you find somewhere that's got biblical preaching, excellent worship, and we will see you next week on Clearview Today.
That's right. Make sure you guys join us on Monday. We love you guys. We'll see you Monday on Clearview Today.